What's going on, Corn Stars? It's your boy Zerk here with your Week 8 recap. Week 8 in review. The mid-season pod will be coming later on today. Hope to have a little guest on that pod for this evening. That'll be fun to do. Really looking forward to doing that one again, kind of like the quarter season pod. Going to break down some of the top 12 scoring players at each position, how many each team has had it to this point, maybe which guys have come in and out of top 12 from week 4 to week 8, maybe some guys that were flashes in the pan compared to consistency here, and, just have a good time and see what's going on. I would really like to I'm trying to find a good source or a good way to show you guys some analytics and some actual like fantasy shit beyond just going over Yahoo and trade charts. And I want it to be entertaining. Like, I want to really crunch numbers with you guys, let you know about target shares, A dots, snap percentages, things like that. But I want to try to find a way to do it in a consumable fashion so you're not falling asleep on me here. Hope you like the smooth jazz in the background. That's a new thing we got going on. Just trying to fill in some of the back noise here, especially if this is something you put on in the background. Maybe give a little ambiance to it instead of just dead silence when I stop to yawn or whatever the fuck I'm doing. So, all right, guys, let's jump right into this Week 8 in review. First game on the slate here. We had Coach Zach and Coach Mike in a game that was honestly over by the end of the Thursday night game. It popped off early in that LAC. I don't know why the fuck I said it like that, but Chargers of Minnesota, man. I mean, these guys just they went at each other here on that Thursday night football game. Kind of disgusting. It was just over with Herbert, Gadsden, and then coming back the other way with Jordan Addison. It just wasn't close from the jump. Got out to a big start, and then unfortunately, Mike loses Scattaboo on Sundays. Just a really rough week for Mike here. I know he's been trying to keep moving and shaking, man. That's what my boy does. But rough game for Mike here for sure. But we'll see what the first team all fuck at the end of it. Some of the guys on this team popped. A little spoiler alert, like Justin Herbert and Troy Franklin were the two highest scoring players at their position this week with 26 each, which is a little surprising coming from Troy Franklin. I didn't expect to see that going through the numbers, but this was definitely a running back week and kind of a nasty week overall. A lot of games were blowouts. Wasn't a lot of competitive games. A lot of games got out of hand, some garbage time points. But, I mean, you'll see as we go through, there's a lot of low-scoring games. A lot of flex positions that put up single-digit points. We might see a little bit more of these. What is this right here? Donut alert! I need to make that like a soundboard or something. But Quentin Johnston with the surprising donut in the game. I hate using the term a lot of mouths to feed in that Chargers offense, but without Hampton and that's becoming a throwing offense here, they just have too many good weapons. They would almost benefit from somebody going down, to be honest, for them to be able to consistently go. It's hard for a quarterback to sustain, two top 24 or 2,000-yard receivers through a season, let alone 3 great receivers and then now an oncoming tight end with Rondé Gadsden. So you're kind of rolling your dice. It's a better dice roll than, let's say, like the Pats wide receivers where you're throwing out Diggs or Booty or Douglas and Henry and hoping one of them pops. Because it seems like, especially in the last couple weeks, 3 out of 4 is popping and 1 is being left off. Early on, we felt like it was Lad McConkey was the odd man out. This is before Gadsden showed up. And then once Gadsden emerged, it feels like Johnson's really kind of been the one to take the hit here. So he'll have his games. I'm sure Gadsden will cool off a little bit, but he's definitely looking like a top 10 tight end at the moment. That's enough on this game here. Let's move on to the next game on the slate. We had Coach Rohde going up against Coach Kaysen. Kaysen rolling out just that massacre team this season. Not a lot going on. When you're starting fucking wide receivers or Alec Pearson, Xavier Legette, you better just phone it in, brother. It's over this season. I mean, I get this. This was a bad performance, and it still wasn't as bad as what we saw from Keith's team last week. So really rough show here. And donut alert, Jerry Jeudy with the dog nut on the week in a game against New England. That was kind of surprising there. Just, I don't know. I feel like Dylan Gabriel throws it 40 fucking times a game at least. And this was a game that they had plenty of opportunities with. I mean, especially early on, I think Myles Garrett either set or tied his career high for sacks in a game with 5, and it's only like, I think 10 or 20 times it's ever been done. So crazy game from the defense there. But Drake May perseveres, man. He's looked incredible. But on this game here, man, some shout outs. Tucker Kraft, incredible performance there. Bo Nix, looking good. Had some shaky games, but he's kind of rounding out to be a little solid. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins put up solid games with Flacco. Hopefully he's able to continue to play. An interesting name to kind of point out here, Rashid Shaheed, is this all of a sudden on the trade block. Early on, it seemed like they were going to move Olave out of the New Orleans, but it's sounding from the rumors more like Olave might catch an extension and that Shaheed might be the one out the door. And one of the teams that he's rumored to is Buffalo. I guess to take the Khalil Shakir position or just any kind of wide receiver spot since they can't stay healthy and they can use all the help they can get. But just something to monitor there. I mean, honestly, there's a lot of guys on Rody's team that are potentially on the block. There's a lot of talk about Tony Pollard being on the block potentially. A lot of those really hot star names have really cooled down. And that's something we'll talk about a little more in the midseason. You know, early on, it was a lot of Breece Hall, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and now the trade rumors are saying it's those guys are not on the market. And it makes sense in some situations, and with some it doesn't. Like, I really don't understand Alvin Kamara not wanting to go out and try to get a ring. But whatever. If he loves New Orleans and he wants to be a lifer, be my guest. Love to see that in ball these days. Someone committed to the team. But it's looking like Pollard could potentially be on the block. Rashid's on the block. Some other guys here. We'll get into that a little more in the next pod. On the other side, like I said, phoned in from Kaysen for the rest of the year, unfortunately. If you still have to play him, give yourselves a pat on the back. Go check your schedule, see if you play Kaysen one more time this year. If he was somebody that you played twice, or if he's just the guy you play one time, you better hope you catch him now as opposed to earlier in the year, because it looks like it's going to be consistent sub 100 matchups here. So congratulations to Coach Rody on that victory. By the way, putting together a string of wins here, man. He's moved up to 5-3 once Flacco's come to town. Really kind of brought that team to life. Close game here with Coach William taking on Amanda. Will's team put up a pretty good performance. Jalen Hurts, without A.J. Brown, was able to kind of put it together and was dotting him up. I would say that's probably his best passing performance on the year, and that was without their number one receiver. You kind of wonder if A.J. Brown is actually hurt or if this is sort of I don't want to say a soft bench, but maybe he's been rumored to be on the block and you don't want to get him hurt before you move him. Devonta Smith has looked better than A.J. Brown this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's somebody that we could see on the run or on the move per se. Just looking around the game here, some solid performances. Chase Brown's really putting together what we thought he would be. This is a player I wanted preseason, and he was really bad up until this was his big game. Even if in his game and a half with Burrow, he was not this good. So encouraging sign. Hopefully the continues to put up those numbers. George Kittle bounces back, had a donut last week, comes back this week with 14.3. Kyle Pitts looking strong in that game there with Kirk Cousins, and what really wasn't that great, but I just can't wait to see Kyle Pitts in another team, man. It's been ludicrous here. And what is that? Donut alert! Jalen Naylor, 3 donuts, 3 games. Love to see it. Luther Burden almost gave us a 4th in the same amount of time. So, man, there's a lot this year. We'll go over the total donuts, how many each person has and whatnot in the midseason review. That'll be coming through here this evening. Over on Coach Will's side, not a lot of pops, but just a lot of consistency. You have a lot of guys hovering like right at that, 14 to 16 point range here with Zay Flowers, Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith, Justin Jefferson. The flex really kind of rounded it out, putting up close to 10 points each. Running backs left a little to be desired, but I mean, if you're in a PPR league, if that's going to be your position to kind of lack, you're kind of okay there. But regardless, good win here for Coach Will, taking down Amanda 116 to 105. Amanda really overproducing here for what she was projected to do, and a lot of that I think is because of this performance from Chase Brown, really kind of getting him off the ground there. Moving on to the fourth game of the week and our fourth donut alert of the week. Jake Ferguson with a dog nut, dude, against Denver. 4 for 4, man. No Wendy's. This shit's a little crazy. Rough game here from Sam. I believe this is back-to-back losses showing that, gods can bleed. A little bit of 300 here where Leonidas throws a spear and nicks Xerxes in the cheek is kind of what this feels like. Now we know these top teams can struggle a little bit, hitting some bumps in the road. Bijan with a really bad game. I know I didn't mention it earlier, but there's a lot of top backs that really struggled. CMC, terrible game for me earlier. I think he scored like 8 points. But a lot of that was time of possession. I think that there was some crazy stat, like it was the lowest offensive performance in 17 years or whatever those guys were spouting out. They can fix numbers to pretty much give you whatever fucking stat or whatever timeline you want. But regardless, the time of possession was really bad in that first half. I think overall, Texans just absolutely dominated. But the Niners had like 30 yards of offense in the first half with like 4 minutes of possession. There's just no way you win a game that way. And once it gets that far out of hand, I mean, I'm glad they toned it down a little bit. If I would have lost this week, it would have hurt for sure. But if there was going to be a week where I could take some CMC, let the foot off the gas just a little bit, because he's been getting like 30 fucking touches a game. It's a little sketchy. But, is what it is. You hate to see JCM continue to struggle here. This is a really high preseason guy. 2.5 points in a game against Kansas City. It's a rough matchup, but golly, his counterparts in that backfield are Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez. You would think that he'd have a little more juice than that, but I will, I guess. Roma Dunze's come back to what we saw in the first 4 weeks. I don't believe he's going to be on the top 12 scores through week 8. He had a couple single-digit performances there. Jonathan Taylor is lapping the field as far as points go at running back. He's been incredible this year. Some of those guys, like if you listen to fantasy footballers, they talk about how he could even be scoring more. If you're not watching these Colts games, they're going up big early. And, when you go up big, obviously you run the ball. But it's like he's getting all these points through the first 2 or 3 quarters and then like barely seeing the field in the fourth. So if these games would stay competitive, he could be putting up 50 bombs. And maybe we'll see that going forward because their schedule definitely gets a little bit tighter here in the playoff run leading up to after the bye with Kansas City, Houston, Jacksonville, Seattle, Jacksonville again in championship week. We'll see how that goes here. But, not saying he had a cakewalk, but definitely playing a lighter schedule with all the positives and kind of mid-tier matchups here throughout. But, we'll see how he keeps it up. But he's been absolutely insane. I want to say he was on pace for 20, if I remember them saying. It was like 27 touchdowns and 1,800 yards. So, basically, last year, Saquon Barkley and Jonathan Taylor. Over on, the winning team absolutely crushed it from Joe's side here. This is the Joe we know from years past, Championship Joe, really locking in here. A lot of 20-point performances down the board. Matthew Golden struggles. I know he's had some injury concerns with Nico Collins, and now Travis Hunter's dealing with, I believe it was a knee injury. Yeah, all of a sudden, popped up knee injury on Friday practice. As you can see, like here, Nico Collins is out. Ricky Pearsall still hasn't seen the field. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here moving forward once these guys get healthy and kind of swapping some of these out. Kendrick Bourne came back to earth, but Rashee Rice is looking insane. Tyler Warren's been insane. Community Vidal looks really good in absence of Aronde Gadsden. Or not, what the fuck? Marion Hampton, I'm sorry. Too many weird-ass names in Los Angeles. You wonder, obviously he's not going to keep this pace when Hampton comes back. They're projecting like week 13 as a return for him. So just before the playoffs, get a couple games in. But you wonder if there was some noise about them wanting to trade for a running back. You wonder if they've somewhat found this running back that they want to split with Hampton. We'll see going forward if he can keep this up. Some of the teams he's popped against were on the easier side here. When you look, the strong defense, quote unquote, that he played against, he only put up 7 points. And then in some of these mid-tier and easy matchups against Miami and Minnesota is where he pops. So it'll be interesting to see and kind of follow there. H.A.N. looks great. I think he's RB3 in points per game. Tedroy McMillan, they were projecting a bad game from him here, and he actually put up 16 points. Interesting to see, still not really coming through with the touchdowns and giving you these numbers. So if he falls in the end zone, you're looking at a 23, 26-point player per week. McConkey, as we said, kind of going over the Chargers receivers, has really been on a roll here after this really brutal start. He's cranked it up definitely to a acceptable performance from where he was drafted. 3 touchdowns in 4 weeks. You like to see that. And then had the balls to roll out Justin Fields here. Was dropped from Amanda's team. Really hit or miss, but I guess it just depends on when you play him. You bench him here, you play him here, you bench him here, you play him in these games. And I guess if you have a guy that you can rotate in and out, sort of like college ball, maybe you can make it work. But good on Joe here, putting together some wins, kind of like Rhodey, to creep back up into the playoff situation, into the scene. Sam drops to second, I believe, as the other Zach caught. He also lost last week, but in the points for category, he's got a little bit of an edge. Moving on to the 5th game of the slate, Coach Kate taking down Coach Keith. The Prophet continues to struggle, but a much better game this week than last week. I do think, I don't know if he watches these, but somebody's got to get a bug in Keith's ear that he's got to make fucking moves, man. Brees Hall, huge game. I don't think this is going to be a guy that moves. I know we would love to see him come to a better team, but I would really settle into the fact that he's going to be a New York Jet the rest of the year. And when you look at the schedule, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. I mean, if you catch these wins here, it's great, but you're still only our 5-win team if you lose all these other ones. I think you try to sell high on Brees Hall, try to get somebody to pay up for him. Keon Coleman just continues to struggle. Worthy is taking a step back with Rashee Rice in the picture. Josh Allen's coming back down to earth, really not getting those 30, 40-point games that we've seen in the past. A little surprising. Derrick Henry picking it back up for sure. He was on a slump there for a little while. People were talking about trading him for a lot less, and then whatever the joke is that the fantasy community talks about, snow in Vermont, man, the Yeti is loose. Zach Ertz, 5 points. Kincaid, 5 points. Again, you're seeing multiple tight ends roll out here that are less than, in a way. This Kincaid seems very volatile because his targets and receptions are very bleh. I mean, 6 targets is okay for a tight end, but if you're getting 6 or you're getting 2, that's rough. I'd rather see consistency here, especially when you have these one-catch games. Like, this is fluky as hell. 1 catch, 28 yards, touchdown. I mean, if there's no touchdown there, it's 2.8 points. You're looking a lot like this game he just had against Carolina. So, Kincaid's a little shaky, man. I think you got to find a better flex option than that. But going over to the winning team here, Kate continuing to impress, going to 5-3, still looking like she's in the playoff picture here. Grabbed Joe Flacco, which I think was great. I can't believe Rhodey didn't jump on this guy when he was on the one of the options here. I know you got Bo Nix, man, but if you could stack Flacco with the boys and maybe get something for Nix and just continue to power up that team, that would have been the play, in my opinion. Big game from Saquon Barkley. Very odd. The from the trade, Scatterboo was killing it. Barkley was slumping. And then it was like as soon as Scatterboo dislocated his ankle, Saquon Barkley to the moon. So, I mean, and we just talked about, you're looking at that trade. It looked real sketchy at first. Then it looked like Mike was on the winning side. And now all of a sudden the player's gone. You can win or lose a trade weekly like that. It's really hard to say, and that's what kind of makes it fun and can make it hurt, man. You remember the trades that won you leagues, and you remember the ones that lost. And sometimes I think if you take a step back, what you should think of as well are the trades you did, or the trades that you didn't make. When you look early on, we were talking early season, Mike and I, about trading. I don't remember who the fuck it was. I think it was Saquon Barkley and Quentin Johnston for Emeka Ibuka and Amari and Hampton. And the only reason that trade didn't go through was Ibuka had like an ankle issue going into a week. And we decided to wait to make sure that he was healthy and talk about the trade the next week. And it wasn't even close after that. But it was very close to happening. And, if I would have made that trade with Mike's looking at not having Saquon, never getting Scatterboo, and having Hampton on his IR for the most part. I believe that's the week Hampton got hurt. And that's why we never exported afterwards. But then he'd also be sitting on Ibuka as opposed to Quentin Johnson, who put up 0. And, it's all these what ifs. But think about the trades you didn't make. I was pressing really hard early for Brian Thomas Jr., and he's looking like a bust so far. Sit back and think of those, because you win and lose trades that you don't make as well. Just keep that in mind. But congratulations, Coach K here. The Flacco Beach Bums continuing to roll. Last game of the week, crazy game. I wasn't even aware of what the hell was going on going into Monday night until Jacob brought it up to me. And I'm sure many of you probably weren't in the know because there wasn't much chatter about it in the chat. This game looked like it was chalked up. Going into Monday night, Jake was down 79 points going into that Monday Night Football game with Kansas City and Washington. And he was telling me he had a 1 or 2% chance to win this game. He scored 80 points to come back and get the victory from a 1% chance. Mahomes put up 24 in that game. McLaurin put up 14. Let's see. Kareem Hunt put up 17. Travis Kelce put up 21. And if you do the math, well, fuck doing the math. It's right the fuck here in front of you, bud. I think it was more like 78 and he scored 79 and some change. But this was over. This game was absolutely over. And he came back and stole this dub from the Nakua Matatas, who are looking to bounce back here. But again, showing the gods can bleed. Xerxes moment. Crazy game. Hats off to Jake there. That's one of the biggest comeback performances. I wish that was something that they could track on Yahoo or Sleeper, like after how many points you're down after Thursday or after the 1 o'clock or after the 4 o'clock and then whatnot. If you go to like a regular sports event, you can track percentages of when you would win and lose. You can, what I'm talking about. So I wish they had that in fantasy too, where you could look and go, oh, at 4 p.m. I had a 4% chance, and then at 8:30 I was up to 71. I think that'd be a really cool feature to see in these fantasy football formats coming out. But yeah, man, the Nakua Matatas coach Zach loses 2 games in a row here. The kind of everyone's cheering, bringing it back down to earth. I mean, we got some guys that are one game back from potentially first place, depending on points for and whatnot. This is the last game on the slate here. Kind of an overall look at these games. Like I said, some real low-scoring performances. Not a lot of games popping super crazy. Some really odd week. I would like to go and look at the standings with you guys going into week 9. Like I said, Rhodey, myself, Kate, all one game back from top tier here. So still fighting. Keith and Kaysen looking like they're not going to make it this year. I mean, you'd almost have to win out at this point when you're looking at how this is shaping up. There's still plenty of time left in the season. You have until week 14, so you have 6 games left. But, I mean, even at 8-6, I don't know if you make it. Possibly. We've had some guys make it at 500 before. But it's looking highly unlikely when you have, you got 5 teams looking like they're going to cross the 8-win mark potentially. They just win half their games and they've passed that mark. So really looking into this tier here from 3 to 10, it's still wide open in this league, this division. If you're looking at some of the points for some of these middle guys, man, I mean, they win a game, they can jump from 7th to 4th here with how the points for are kind of playing out. It's close, but if they continue to score, they'll be going up here. When you're looking kind of down at like Mike and Amanda, yes, are they still in it record-wise? Potentially, but they would have to win a game, be a game up on, I would think, anybody from 3 to 8. You'd have to be up a game. So if they win 8, you'd have to win 9. I don't know if you can clear or close in this points for gap from 150 points down. You'd have to find some of these guys that really struggle, and the Bipocalypse is behind us. There's only 4 more weeks, week 9, 10, 11, 12, that we have buys. And then 13, 14, teams are back to full strength. So you're not looking at any kind of bye week effects. You're hoping some of these guys slip up with bye week issues coming up. But, 5 teams in the league are already over 1,000, and you haven't crossed 900. It's looking a little bleak. Yes, it's still possible, but it's looking more like 1 through 8 are what we're looking for here. So, Zach, Sam, myself, Rhodey, Kate, Joe, Jake, and Will are really looking likely to make it in here. But would love to see an upset. Moving on from the league, let's take a look at the trade value chart a little bit here. Rashee Rice creeps up 7, becoming a top 6 receiver in the league, jumping over Justin Jefferson and like Drake London. He's been crazy. Back-to-back 20-plus point games, and then there was something about, if you stretch back into last year, his last couple games there, he's been a wide receiver, like a top 3 or 4 points per game wide receiver. Some big movers and shakers. Javonte Williams jumps up 6 or 7 points. Derrick Henry climbs after back-to-back games. Bucky Irving's imminent return keeps him climbing up ranks ever so slowly. Chase Brown's big game almost doubles his value. Amarian Hampton, again, as we get closer and closer to week 12, week 13, his value continues to climb. He was easily up in this range at like high 40s, low 50s early on. Right now he's sitting about 30 and climbing, jumping up 10 slots here, or 9 slots up to 27 from right in this range of Dobbins and Rico Dowdle. Jalen Warren climbs up to 7.5 as his gap continues to split share between Kenneth Gainwell and him is increasing. Tyrone Tracy literally jumps from negative value to being worth something with Scatterboo going down. Trey Benson, again, like Hampton, moving up ever so slowly with him coming back as well. Community Vidal moving up after, he had a stinker and comes back with a good game. Obviously, you have to adjust a little bit there. On the wide receiver side, talked about Rashee Rice. Roma Dunze came back down to earth, but now he's ascending up rankings again, moving up 8 points here. Let's see. Devonta Smith moves up roughly 7 with A.J. Brown being out. We kind of see where that goes here, especially if Brown's on the move. I could see him skyrocket. Quentin Johnston, the big donut, drops him down 8. Continues to slide down boards. Troy Franklin's big game brings him from obscurity to flex-worthy for sure. Right in this sandwich of Jacoby Myers, Jameson Williams, Josh Downs, Matthew Golden, Chris Godwin. And then as far as tight ends go, really no movement here. I guess the biggest thing to really talk about is Tucker Kraft moving up, continuing to dominate. Brock Bowers is supposed to be back this week. George Kittle bounced back from a donut last week. No movement on their parts here. I like this ranking that they have on them. I think this is the lowest that you'll see Bowers after this week. Especially if Jacoby Myers hits the move is what they're talking. Going down just a tad. Ferguson's donut drops him just a little bit. Rondé Gadsden's moving up the boards. Again, like I said, looking like a top 10 tight end right now in the league. Not a lot of movement elsewhere. Quarterback-wise, not a ton, man. They're pretty solid, especially in a one-quarterback league. There's not a lot of value or movement, the separation between these guys at the top, even though, these huge point gaps are here as far as their value from, 51 to 37 or so. I mean, but if you're looking at it, what's the big difference between Jalen Hurts and Drake May? Even though there's like a 20-point gap between their value. I mean, I'd give me Drake May with that value all day. For sure, if I could trade Jalen Hurts for any of these guys and have Drake May, I mean, absolutely. But yeah, nothing really moving here. I'm a little worried about Jackson Dart as he continues to lose people. I do want to put on Baker Mayfield. Really kind of cooled off last couple games after starting super hot, looking like an MVP winner. I'm surprised to see Daniel Jones down here. I feel like he's been kind of ripping it. I know the touchdowns are low, but I feel like it should be a little higher. I feel like this is something that, or a guy where people are not fully bought in yet, even though we've seen it through 8 weeks. But anyway, that's kind of that for the update on the trade values here for the league. I hope this is helping you guys. You like looking at this tool here. Last thing I'd like to go over is first team all fucks for the week. Oh, fuck me. I don't have it on the right screen here. My apologies. Some technical difficulties from a technical idiot. First team all fuck this week. Quarterback 1, Justin Herbert. Wide receiver 1, Troy Franklin. Wide receiver 2 is Rashee Rice. Running back 1, Jonathan Taylor. Running back 2, James Cook. And your tight end of the week is Tucker Kraft. Giving the ensemble here to our beautiful Riley Reed. Thank you guys for checking us out this week. Again, midseason pod with a special guest, hopefully coming out this evening here, maybe Saturday morning. Hope you guys are having a very, very good Halloween, a fun holiday, costume parties, whatever's going on. Hope the kids are having fun. Love to see what they dress up as. My son is going as like a nondescript Grim Reaper. I don't really know how to describe it. He's essentially the Grim Reaper, but doesn't have like a Reaper face or mask. He's just kind of blacked out, I guess. My daughter's going as Ghost Spider from the Spidey series, Spider-Gwen, but like the kid version. My wife's going to be a witch. I'm just going to be the fat dad handing out candy and pressing the buttons on animatronics. Our trick or treat got moved from Thursday to Saturday, which is why there was some delay on some of the stuff here. So today is really the only day I can bust it out because tomorrow night from about all day setting shit up and then tearing shit down. For those of you who don't know, I really love Halloween. I know this is kind of random at the end here, but I spend a lot of money on like animatronics and props to set the yard up and kind of scare the kids. Something my dad did growing up, something I like to do, creating the tradition here. But I got some 15-foot props, some 12-foot props, some 8-foot things, and a bunch of guys I have to put together because 4 days ago or 5 days ago when I would have started, it was looking like it was going to rain on Thursday and that shit would get annihilated in the rain. They moved it to Saturday. We're supposed to be sunny and cold. So I got to start whipping some shit up as soon as possible. I can send you guys pictures if you want, if you're interested in seeing the yard or the layout. But yeah, happy Halloween. Happy trick or treat. Happy fall, man. The most wonderful time of the year. Pumpkin spice is still in. The weather's getting cold. Hoodies are coming out, boy. It's Netflix and cream pie season. So, love you guys. Have a great one.